So good. Recorded live in studio. It's Blake Mills and Pino Palladino here on World Cafe. It's a performance of Contour. It is from their second album together, That Wasn't a Dream. Pino and Blake are here. I am Kallao. This is World Cafe. Gentlemen, it is a pleasure to meet. Thank you so much both for being here.
Thanks a lot.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
So I had a first question, but I want to skip back to something that I actually saw while you were rehearsing and warming up. You know, you were working on a riff, and like you made the slightest adjustment to the instrument that you were playing, and it elicited this huge smile from you, Pino, which then elicited this smile from you, Blake. It seems like you really are enjoying this project and this time together. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this has got to be a labor of love for y'all's.
Oh yeah, completely. I mean,
100%.
Yeah, our music that we make together was really born out of circumstances like you just described. You know, in between the actual work that we were supposed to be doing on John Legend's record 10 years ago or something now. You know, we would just get into mischief and start talking about music that we both enjoyed and grew up with, and so it is definitely carrying on that spirit of just tinkering and jamming, really.
Yeah. Pino, what was your first impression of Blake? Because he was the producer on that John Legend record, and he brought you in as a session musician. What was your first recollection of what Blake was like to work with?
It was just immediately obvious that this was going to be a fun record to make, you know, just from some of the suggestions and ideas and an encouragement to find, you know, cool stuff to play.
You're listening to World Cafe. We're talking with Pino Palladino and Blake Mills. I love listening to an album and not necessarily playing detective, but I enjoy being lost for a while until it suddenly starts to make a little bit more sense. We live in a post-genre world in a lot of ways. Can you talk a little bit about making a sound that, you know, almost feels unquantifiable?
It's sort of a natural thing for us to do. But stop to think about why that is. It might be because our sensibilities are often to subvert some aspect of what's normal or expected. Right. You know, so there may be, you know, some kind of, you know, tweak always in the mechanics of something that keeps it from feeling like you sort of know what's coming
Yeah, yeah.
around the bend, but we're not afraid of a listening experience that's a little bit puzzling, for ourselves, like as listeners.
Yeah,
I think we enjoy
we're
that too.
trying to keep ourselves intrigued too, in the music that we write and work on.
Right.
And I suppose there's a little bit of, let's try and make something that doesn't sound like something else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's intentional, I think. I think we could safely say, but not it's not mission statement as such. We don't just want to sound different, but it's really fun to try and make something that sounds unique. Hopefully,
There was also a bit of a surprise when we started to play shows recently with a band with Chris Dave and Sam Gundel, where the music sounds really different with those guys, even though they've played on the record in some cases and for some of these songs. The way that we are performing it live sounds pretty different from the record, and it doesn't sound like anything else. So I guess what I'm realizing is that whatever results are on the album were not premeditated. It wasn't like we had a sound in our heads that we were trying to release from the stone, as it were. It's just kind of what it ended up being.
Were there any musical touchdowns, a shared love of music that sort of maybe informed directionally where you might want to go, whether it be like, a style of music or a particular artist? Like,
all sorts.
Yeah.
All sorts, yeah.
Yeah, I don't doubt y'all listen to a very wide array of music across styles.
I mean, what's been on my mind a lot lately is the sort of 70s British folk, John Martin, for instance.
Oh, man.
And Danny Thompson, the amazing bass player, who sadly passed away recently. I think there's a shared love of that music. And then also like Weather Report, South American music, a lot of South American music. So there's a lot of points where we touch, but there's also a lot of stuff that Blake probably listens to that I don't necessarily know about.
I definitely feel like on both occasions where we've made records together, that I've learned a lot, just harmonically speaking. Like I don't have a background in playing jazz per se. Like I got a pretty good understanding of chords, really, because I feel like the odd man out sometimes when I think about like some of the chords that we're playing, yeah, and it feels more like I'm playing a standard or a cover, just because it's so much part of your vocabulary, as a guitar player.
Harmonically, I would say,
yes.
Definitely chordal-wise, yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, really working on Notes with Attachments, our first record, that was a highly educational experience for me. And then when we got together to write for this record, on some occasions, things that I was writing, I was thinking about Pino's vernacular, as a musician.
What would serve that, you mean?
Well, just like the language of harmonic language that he writes in, and some of the chord shapes and progressions and things, and like sort of a what would Pino do mindset for some of these ideas. Then I'd bring them to Pino, and he would kind of hear the missing sections and the missing pieces, or he'd hear maybe that chord going to that chord. Let's find a different one for that. And that's so often the role that I find myself in, on the other side as a producer or co-writer. Yeah, like where people are bringing an idea, and as the outsider, you have a perspective. You can sort of hear, or see what things feel a little clunky about it. When you're writing it, you just don't notice that sort of thing. But yeah. Anyhow, long way of saying that. It's extremely informative for me getting to write music with Pino.
Very cool. You're listening to World Cafe. Pino Palladino, Blake Mills are my guest. Their new album is That Wasn't a Dream. You have a song, and the pronunciation of this I'm going to get wrong because it's a different spelling. But I should first mention the word I thought it was somnambulist, and I know that because I'm a sleepwalker, and I thought there was a sleepwalker among us in this room, but it's not quite that. Pino, what's the word that you've made up for the title of this song?
It's Somnambulista.
Okay, and what is the backstory on the word? Is it just something that was satisfying?
We were struggling with titles a little bit because, as we've spoken about before, titling instrumental music we both find it quite tricky, you know. I mean, it is. You don't have lyrics to come from or a story per se. So it's so basically that word literally sprung into my head one morning, and I phoned Blake immediately and I said, "How about Somnambulista for this song?" You know, which was previously called something else, and he dug it immediately. It was like, "Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Why not?"
Well, rather than me trying to talk about the word, I would love it if you'd be willing to play it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
This is World Cafe with Blake Mills and Pino Palladino. recorded live on World Cafe. It's Blake Mills and Pino Palladino from their new album, That Wasn't a Dream, which is available now. Pino and Blake are my guests on World Cafe. Blake, can I ask a little bit about what you were doing with the vocalizing on that track? Because I was in a room for it, and you can hear a little bit of that on the album as well. Why did you want to add that as far as the vocals that someone would hear on this record?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember when that started or
I
why.
think you just started singing it at one point. We did a couple of takes, and you started doubling the melody at one point. It was just good to hear that sound, just another thing to add interest to the melody.
A friend of ours, Pedro Martins, was at a show we did the other night in Portland, and mentioned that he really liked the Brazilian sounding stuff. And I was trying to think of what he was talking about, and it was the ones where I'm singing along with the melody.
That's so
It's
cool.
a very Brazilian. When he said it, it made a lot of sense. It's a very Brazilian sound.
Yeah.
that kinda
Again, we
unison
both
singing
love
thing.
Hermeto too, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of Hermeto's music has these incredible melodies that are doubled with a vocal, a real accurate, incredible vocal, and that's something we both love. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would love to also be able to sing with that kind of accuracy.
Yeah. Well, you do.
How improvisational was this record?
That's a good question, because I think I feel like we were focused more on the elements that were composed, and the structural side of it. But at the same time, as musicians, there's always something improvisatory going on, So the performances themselves have a lot of differences actually from take to take, and some things that just happened, spontaneously. So there's always sort of both.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff I would say is more. I mean, where do you draw the line? Is it improvisation? What is real improvisation, right? Really, because sometimes it's just reactive. It's just you just react to something you've just heard on a record or with somebody playing, and I guess that's improvising in a certain way for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more comfortable in an improvisatory role as a musician, and in some cases as a person in life, where like I don't know what to do with all the energy of planning ahead and trying to remember the things that you're intending to do.
That's harder,
when you
yeah.
get there, remember all the parts of a song before you start it. I feel like I get to go through life, and maybe this is just a privilege, but you get to go through life with a little like I'm going to figure it out when I get there, or I'm going to see if I have something
You
to
wait
play.
until you get there and you
Yeah.
react to it, right?
Yeah, and that feels like a form of improvisation.
What's practice look like for you these days? You've been playing the bass for a long time. Some of the guys that I talk to who are legends or have been at it for decades, they're like, yeah, I still practice pretty crazy. And then there are people who are like, I never have to practice again. I won't. I only practice
Yeah.
before a tour. How does it fall for you?
If I have to learn a piece that's challenging, I will certainly practice it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I have to learn for someone else's music, but generally I just kind of try and keep myself intrigued. So practice to me is just playing instruments and trying to keep myself interested.
Makes sense. How about you, Blake?
Yeah, I think it's probably case by case a little bit, but I feel like I'm a little envious of guitarists who just play one guitar, and they pick it up and it's like an extension of their hand. You get to learn an instrument so well with that kind of repetition you're talking about.
Sure.
And I feel like sometimes with fretless guitar, for example, there's I'll pick it up and be like, I really feel out of practice with this. I've got to adjust my posture or how I'm fretting it or whatever. And then you go over to a nylon string and you kind of go, oh wow, this feels so different from steel string. It just always feels a little like I'm a little behind the eight ball or something, with the instruments that I want to be up to speed with.
You're listening to World Cafe. We're here with Blake Mills and Pino Palladino. There have been so many wonderful toys and beautiful shiny things to look at in this room. What is it about like the idea of like not only do I want a guitar, I want a fretless guitar, I want a fretless baritone guitar, I want a fretless sustained baritone guitar. Like what takes you down that rabbit hole looking for an instrument like that?
I spend most of my time in the studio, and as someone who's a much more proficient guitarist than they are keyboardist or percussionist or any other instrument. I think over the years I've spent a lot of time trying to get guitars to do things that would probably be easier on another instrument, But it's just like I know guitar, but it's like a it's a shorthand, So I was using an EBow for a long time on a fretless baritone guitar that I had at the studio, and for anybody who's familiar with an EBow, it's just or not familiar rather, it's just a device that lets you have infinite sustain on a steel stringed instrument, kind of like having a bow, So when I came across somebody on Instagram, a guy by the name of Duncan Price, who was experimenting with putting sustainer pickups in fretless instruments, that just seemed like the door was unlocked, because with the EBow you're really relegated to one string at a time. And I'd been playing a lot of slide guitar for a long time, and was just feeling like, I don't know, I'd reached the end of the stuff I was hearing on slide guitar, and gravitating more towards this fretless sound, and I reached out to Duncan about putting together an instrument with a couple of specifications, and he put this guitar together for me, and I think I've had it for about almost 6 years, and I've used it on every project I've worked on in that time. It's just a really versatile, unique sounding instrument. One of the advantages I have is that I've had it for 6 years. So
You've got a head start now on anyone who picks it up.
Exactly, right? But there's a song on our record, the only one that we didn't sort of do in the time frame when we made the rest of the album, was kind of an outlier from our first record, a song called What Is Wrong With You. And that one we did pretty short. Actually, it was the first thing maybe I recorded with this guitar.
Yes,
actually.
Wow.
Because when I listen back to that, it feels a little stiff to me when I hear it. Like the intonation, I'm still
You're
kind
still
of
getting around it,
right?
yeah.
But there's some things that I can't do anymore. Like I can't play like that anymore on the instrument. It's certain things I'm trying to match the intonation of what happened that day and stuff. It's just kind of, it's a total process, and I hope I just kind of keep getting more proficient at it as time goes on.
You mentioned the song What Is Wrong With You. Would you be willing to give us a performance of that?
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
Beautiful. Blake Mills, Pino Palladino. That Wasn't a Dream is the name of their new album. This is World Cafe. So cool. Recorded live in studio. Blake Mills, Pino Palladino. The song is What Is Wrong With You? It is from their new album, That Wasn't a Dream. Blake, Pino, this was an absolute blast. Thank you both so much for coming in and sharing your music with us today.
It was a total pleasure. Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
thanks for having us over.
We're back in a moment with more World Cafe.